Chris and Chris Talk Movies.
Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. My name is Chris Ferry.
And I'm Chris Huddleston.
And today we have got a real humdinger. A real humdinger for you. As though people haven't seen these movies. I mean, I act like I'm unwrapping some precious Christmas present, but everybody knows these movies. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about Johnny Mnemonic.
Good morning. This is your wake-up call.
The year is 2021. It is no longer safe to transmit information. Phones, computers, and satellites are all vulnerable. But there is a solution.
Your storage capacity? I can carry nearly 80 gigs of data in my head.
Input the data into the brain of a human courier, like Johnny Mnemonic.
Hit me.
How do you fit all that in your head anyway?
I had to dump a chunk of long-term memory.
You had to dump a chunk of what?
My childhood.
What are you doing?
Making a long-distance phone call. I got the goods, Ralphie. Now I just want to get them out of my head.
Now, in a future...
We locked on him.
Where those who control the information control the world.
I've been charged with recovering the head of the mnemonic courier.
Everyone wants what is stored in Johnny's head.
Double cheese anchovies?
Ali! You were waiting for me, Ralphie.
Time is running out.
I'm a dead man if I don't get this out of my head.
I can get it out.
How?
A cranial drill and a pair of forceps.
For the future's most wanted fugitive. Keanu Reeves.
You can't shoot me.
Not in the head.
Johnny Mnemonic.
Okay, that trailer was too long, but if I may, Chris, I will do the synopsis today.
Sounds good.
Here's the synopsis. In this film, based on the William Gibson story, Johnny, Keanu Reeves, is a data courier who has a secret stash of information implanted into his mind. However, the data will kill Johnny if he cannot retrieve it within 48 hours. Accompanied by physically enhanced bodyguard Jane, Johnny sets out to acquire the passwords he needs to save himself. Worse yet, he is hunted by a gangster and businessman. And I'm excluding their names because who cares? Both of whom seek the data Johnny possesses. Okay. So is it all right if I start? Because this is closer to my heart, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm a real lover of William Gibson's fiction. Neuromancer is one of my favorite science fiction books. I highly recommend it if you're into science fiction. And Johnny Mnemonic is the same universe. In fact, the character that is Jane in the movie is a character named Molly in the novel, or at least the short story. She crosses both stories. And interestingly, William Gibson apparently wrote the screenplay for this, which is disappointing to me because as much as I love the literature, I really thought that the movie failed to convey the coolest aspects of it. Namely, that I think the concepts that he explores are pretty timeless and pretty excellent sci-fi. Whereas when you watch the movie, and you jump in here if you disagree with me, when you watch the movie, the primary taste in your mouth is sort of corny, 90s really cliche, most of it. And there is some of the funny thing about it is a lot of the cool sci-fi makes it into the movie, but it doesn't come off as cool at all in the movie.
No.
And I'm jumping ahead, but the big example that leaps into my mind is the dolphin that we get to at the end, which
is that in the short story?
Absolutely, but I don't know how to explain it to you on the page. But did you ever read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So I mean, there's some really fun sci-fi concepts in that, but I think of it primarily as a comedy and satire.
Yeah, definitely.
So this concept of just in the same way that horror and camp and comedy go hand in hand so delightfully in many cases, sci-fi and comedy can play well together. And William Gibson is the less campy end of that. Like he definitely indulges in the hero is a smart ass and has good zingers. On the page, I remember them coming off as actually good zingers. They don't in the movie.
Yeah.
But for the most part, he takes it pretty seriously. And in the book, the idea that you're going to go meet this, we got to go meet the guy. There is somebody that can help you, but it's like he's the Yoda, he's the nerd, like he's behind several gates, and you have to get to him. It turns out that quote unquote guy is a dolphin that the military sort of cyber enhanced, which is a big thing in this universe. All of these upgrades, and they used these dolphins in kind of a cruel way to sort of cyborg them out into being these war tools that could sort of dismantle subs and be hunter seekers and travel at speed. They were superior to humans for these certain tasks. And the implication is that they're also smarter than the average human. And so they take him to this dolphin to have the dolphin help him out of his jam. And in the movie, it's absurd. And you're like, what is happening? The effects are corny.
Yeah.
And in the book, you're like, it's a cool reveal. I mean, I need to go back and reread it, but I remember, and I was young, but I remember thinking, oh, cool. Like you didn't expect that. And, it makes sense on the page in a way that in the movie, it just is like, give me a break.
Sure. Yeah.
But this whole movie is full of those things, from the costume design to the casting to the script. And I think the directing is probably, if you had to lay a finger on lay the blame on one person, it's the director.
Yeah, it's probably true. I was reading a little bit about this today, and they said that I think this was on Wikipedia, but the director, they were trying to get this movie made, and they wanted to do it for like $1.5 million.
Oof.
And they raised $1 million. They couldn't get another 500,000, but instead Sony was like, we'll give you 30 million. So the budget was 30 million, which, that's not too bad for the mid 90s. So, I mean, maybe the problem did lie with them. This was a first time watch for me. I had never seen this. I'd always been curious about it, and I knew it was supposed to be bad, but it was worse than I thought it was going to be. So 10 minutes in, so I texted you, like 30 seconds in, and I was like, oh, I'm already laughing, because it opens up with, it just says the internet 2021, and it's like,
right. The internet.
It's like internet,
space, the future.
It reminded me a lot. Initially, it was part was giving me Lawnmower Man vibes, because it was kind of that, we're going to make, this is the internet, and it's going to be this visualization of it that's, computer generated, and it's kind of like you're in a city, but not exactly. And, and it's making these whooshing sounds as you're moving through the internet. I was like, oh, this is
the internet does.
Yeah, exactly. And so then you have it starts out with Keanu and he's meeting these scientists in a hotel or whatever, and the Yakuza shows up, and the main bad guy, I guess, the guy with the big eyebrows, which I was unsure, was he 30 or 50? Like you couldn't really tell his age.
Right.
But he had basically, it looked to me like laser dental floss. He would pull out, it looked like he was pulling out dental floss, but it was a red laser that could cut through stone and metal and everything. So initially I was like, okay, this is just going to be a dumb, campy, just so bad it's good movie. But beyond that, it's just kind of, so then they go to Newark, and when it switched to that, so it starts out and I was getting, the Lawnmower Man vibe, but also like, they really want to be Blade Runner. But then it goes to Newark, and then from then on, it's just, there's no color. It's just, dour, and there's none of the set pieces are interesting. It's just,
right.
It's just kind of a dull movie. And Keanu, like you said, they're trying to do one-liners with him, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I read some reviews that I looked at today. They said, he's really miscast, which I think, and this is a few years before The Matrix.
Yeah. I
think with The Matrix, those guys figured out Keanu is a little bit like Arnold. I have kind of a theory that there are movie stars and there are actors, and Keanu's a movie star.
Yeah.
He's a good looking guy, and he has a good personality, and the camera loves him. But I think in The Matrix, they used him so well because he doesn't speak very much.
Yeah.
And
I'll just jump in. I will add, he's game. Like, he really gives it his all.
Yeah.
And I will say in this movie, he is chewing the furniture and it's missing the target, but it's not that he's not showing up.
No.
That's why I think that a director could have really, like, is he Meryl Streep? No, he is not.
Yeah.
Right. But he is willing to show up and do his best to take direction and fully commit. And he's doing all of that. And it's just sort of a shame that that it's not dialed in the whole movie. So I have so many thoughts to respond to it. So I think 30 million was like in the right direction, but not enough to do it right. I think they could have made a really fun $1 million movie of this.
Yeah.
And if they'd had to and they could cut out some of that 90s CGI, we're like, in the future, the internet will look like this. And of course, looking back on it, it looks like garbage.
Right.
But because who knew resolution would keep getting better, right?
Yeah.
But some of the set pieces, you're actually like, that's actually pretty cool. But they ran out of money. Like, so it has this, you'll go from place to place and they kind of go to the low tech people and they're somehow tribal, and like, you're like, okay, just imagination sort of fails here. And the costume design is all Mad Max, and Ice-T is the leader. And I'm just like, what is happening? And they all have like these face tattoos that just look, there's no design to it. It's just like, what if we tape a bunch of garbage bags to these people? And then, because they're like, counterculture. And that's as deep as the thought went. And you're like, no, answer these questions. Anyway, so I just want to touch on that red dental floss, because it's one of the cool sci-fi concepts in the book, is that this assassin has it's a bio implant. It's an enhancement. His thumb detaches, and it's like a garrote. It's like a razor wire that he can pull out like an extendable dog leash, and it's one molecule thick. So it's sharper than any blade, right? And in the book, he uses it to really lethal effect, because you don't see it. Like, he's swinging this thing around like it's a bolo, and you literally can't see the string. It's not a red glowing thing in the book.
Okay.
It's just, you don't even, he just up behind you, and he's a ninja. So he's silent, and your head is off before you even know your head is off, because he's just slipped off his thumb, and it cuts through anything. And I thought, oh, that's cool. But in the movie, there's no explanation of it. You're just like, what? He's flicking it around, and it looks kind of cool, but you're like, what's happening? Like, nobody explains any of this really cool concept stuff, as though you're just supposed to get it.
Yeah.
And then they're too busy hitting one-liners over the head, bad one-liners over the head. Anyway, I guess I lost my train of thought. There was a bunch. There was so much there that I wanted to dig into, but I think $30 million, as impressive as that number is, I don't think it was enough, because I really think if you'd have let, Dennis, I always want to mess up the pronunciation of his last name, but Blade Runner 2049.
Villeneuve.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Who I have an enormous respect for, and who's apparently working on a new Dune that I can't wait for.
Yeah.
If you'd have let him on a property like this, it could have been amazing.
Oh,
right?
sure. Yeah, yeah.
There's AI stuff that William Gibson gets into in this universe that comes into the movie a little bit. There's sort of this blue lady who keeps popping up on a screen, right? And in Neuromancer, it's an AI called Wintermute that is trying to get out of its fetters. Like in Neuromancer, the major corporations of the world have these AIs, and they appear in they don't call it the internet, they just call it the sprawl. I don't remember what they call it, but they just appear as these giant massive cubes, and they're massively powerful and massively intelligent, but they're contained. And so this Wintermute is sort of it turns out, spoiler alerts if you want to read Neuromancer, it turns out that this Wintermute AI is manipulating our hero of Neuromancer in a long game plot to sort of earn its, engineer its freedom so that it can kind of get out of its box. And that's just really cool. And it explores a bunch of interesting characters and social dynamics, and the ultra rich live up in this sort of space needle a la Elysium. We ought to talk about Neil Blomkamp stuff too, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Do we do good movies? We just do.
Hey, we did V for Vendetta. That's a good.
That's
movie.
true. Yeah, that's true.
We can mix in.
Do whatever
we can
we
mix
want,
in
right?
good
It's our
stuff
podcast.
there. Yeah, yeah.
I just watched District 9 again the other day. Man,
oh,
so good. Anyway, Johnny Mnemonic. So yeah, I just to zoom out for a second, like, did you enjoy it? It gets like a 13 or a 17 or something on Rotten Tomatoes.
No, that's the thing. Like I was saying, starting out, I thought, oh, maybe this is going to be fun, and this might be maybe this could be a, you just get together with a group of friends and, some drinks or whatever. But to me, it was just dull. I just didn't care about. I just didn't really care about anything that was happening. And, it's just all these different people trying to kill him. And I was pretty confused by the plot at times as to what was really going on. So I didn't like it, even in a so bad it's good kind of way. They're, like I say, it was just dull. There wasn't a lot to it. The laser dental floss thing, if there had been more stuff like that, it seemed like Keanu, you kind of got the feeling that he knew he was in a bad movie and he was kind of hamming it up. But I don't know if the filmmakers knew they were making a bad movie. It seemed to be fairly earnest, but it just, I don't know. I just felt like it was a mess, and it didn't.
Yeah,
it didn't work even in this is just a stupid, entertaining movie. I just thought, it was worse than I expected it to be.
Robert Longo, that's who directed it. I'm just looking to see what else.
And you have interesting people in this. You have Dolph Lundgren is in it with long hair, and and you have Henry Rollins. Henry Rollins is an interesting guy.
Yeah.
So looks like he directed a lot of music videos, and this is his last credit. He directed an episode of Tales from the Crypt, and then Johnny Mnemonic, and then I guess that ended his career.
And scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's the right fit for him. There's just so much cliche in this movie, and I don't feel like the source material. First of all, the source material is from the mid 80s, right? Written in or published in 85 or 86. Then this movie is a 1995 movie. And the costume design, the set design, all of the design feels very 90s. Like it's actually a beef I have with Star Trek, which I love. But they go to some alien planet and everything's so vague. It's like, oh, well, this planet's sort of deserty, and the people all wear sort of smocks, and that's as deep. It's like, no, if you're going to imagine other realities, get specific about it. I mean, it can literally be whatever you want, but make it something, not just sort of, he's got a pencil thin tie and a black suit. Why? In the future, it's the same old hackneyed, like everyone dresses like the Beatles. I don't, it's like lazy is what it feels like. And you can't say they ran out of money because they spent everything on the sets,
And it looked cheap. I mean, everything in it, even with the $30 million, it just all looked cheap. I think, you bringing up Denis Villeneuve, or however you say it, this is kind of one of those seem like a perfect movie to remake, or to just go to the source material and make a new version of this. I wonder if that'll happen since it flopped, but I think you will probably, just because there's so much content needed now, I'm sure you will start to see more of his books and stories adapted.
Well, ironically, it's like,
and there's the technology to do it
bad.
now.
Yeah, this one's so bad that people won't want to. It's such a stinker that people won't want to remake a stinker. It's like, why would you bring that back from the dead? But you couldn't really make Neuromancer because there's just too much in it, right? I mean, I say that. I guess you made Lord of the Rings and pulled that.
I mean, could
off.
it be a Netflix series or something like that?
Oh man, it could totally be a Netflix series. That's such a great idea. It could, and they've got the money. Did you ever see Altered Carbon?
I watched a couple of episodes of it, and I couldn't really get into it.
Couldn't stick it, but it looks pretty good, right? I mean, it looks like butter. Like they didn't it, unlike this, it doesn't feel cheap and scrimped on, right? I mean, I think the problems, if you are watching it and you don't really, it doesn't get its hooks in you, then the problems are, it's not because of the set design or the production design. It's because you just don't feel like you're getting drawn into the story. And I think one thing that William Gibson's material really needs is that full three-dimensional treatment. It needs to feel immersive. It might even be fun to do it in such a style. Like the vogue right now is to modernize everything. Like you take older sci-fi stuff and any generation sci-fi is going to have their own personal stylistic elements baked in. You go back and watch Aliens, and Paul Reiser's got the sort of 80s hair and 80s shoulder pads, So, but the vogue thing now is to make it feel modern sci-fi. It'd be kind of fun to take this property and overlay an 80s aesthetic on it, right?
Yeah.
Like the movie Drive, or like that's come back into vogue, this celebration of 80s cinema. Well, I mean, The Wraith is a perfect example of that sweet spot right there in the 80s when everything was just like synth and neon and airbrush and feathered hair. It's like, it would be really kind of fun to do a retro future take on it. Like in the mid 80s, this is what we thought the future. I don't know. Am I making sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if this is definitely not a cyberpunk thing, but have you seen the Netflix show Maniac?
No.
With that's something you should check out. I think you would be into it. It's Jonah Hill and
oh yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yes, they're like in a treatment center or an experimental where are they? They're in some sort of a lab, right?
Yeah, it's like in a lab, and that is they did a really quirky sci-fi look with that without it being kind of, because some of those things like Altered Carbon and these other shows that are being made now for Netflix or Hulu or Prime or whatever, one of the criticisms that I have of them is I feel like they all kind of look the same.
Yeah.
They all kind of look like updated versions of like Deep Space Nine or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Fair.
It would be cool to see a sci-fi series that's maybe a little more serious with an aesthetic like that, where it's a really kind of original look, where with that show, it was kind of hard to place the time frame. It seemed to be in the future, but it almost looked like it was the 70s or something, the way everything that was designed. So I think that would be a fun kind of, just a more stylized set design with something like this. I think could be really cool.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that I love so much about Blade Runner 2049, which I just watch and watch and watch. He did such a great job of honoring the original material and making it plausibly feel like some time had passed, but it was the same world, right? I mean, he walked the line between saying, all right, so we're going to have our femme fatale is going to look a lot like Daryl Hannah from the first one, and we're going to consciously create those visual echoes, even though it is is it 30 years later?
I think so. Yeah.
But we want to also make it feel like 30 years have gone by, and that the world hasn't fundamentally changed in that time, but the power dynamic has shifted into the hands of this different guy, and the relationship with replicants has shifted. I just thought it was a huge success in terms of not just universe building, which the first one did so well, but honoring the universe building that was done so well in the first one, and then adding. So it's a yes and, right? It's like, that was amazing. It's an homage, but then it's also introducing some new elements that I thought were terrific.
Oh yeah,
we dislike Johnny Mnemonic so much we've ceased to talk about it.
Don't talk about it. Yeah. But yeah, with Blade Runner, the art direction in that is incredible. And it's one of these things where you might have, again, it was a flop, but just everything. I mean, there's just so much need for content out there, just in general. And that Gibson's works, they're going to be adapted, whether it's for these streaming services. I mean, I think it's almost a guarantee. And you might have some young director that Johnny Mnemonic was a movie, that he loved or she loved, and, they want to do a modern interpretation of it. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it get remade for one of the streaming services.
What's interesting. So I just Googled up Neuromancer film adaptation, and There are some posts from 2017 saying Deadpool's Tim Miller is set to direct the Neuromancer movie. There's a number of hits on that, and Neuromancer, the long overdue movie trailer. I think that it's been attempted multiple times in the past. Neuromancer 2021, directed by Tim Miller. Interesting.
Is he still attached to that? Because he directed the last Transformers, or not Transformers, the last Terminator movie, which bombed badly, which I kind of enjoyed. I mean, that's a separate conversation, but I didn't think it was that bad. But
so actually, let me just jump in here really quick. Cyberpunk classic. The Matrix is what they called the internet in these books. So, and that predates the, many things. And in fact, the Matrix, the look and feel, that sort of slick back hair Trinity in the Matrix is very much the description of Molly Millions in Neuromancer. I think that's the character's name. Somebody somewhere who knows what they're. I need to reread it. She has eye implants that make it look like she's sort of wearing these close-fitting shades, but they're actually eye implants that let her see like Geordie LaForge, from Star Trek. And she's got these blades. She has these, blood red fingernails, but these sort of razor blade spikes. She can Wolverine like, stick these things out. And so she's kind of this bioengineered assassin weapon, and she's just super cool and sexy. But I had forgotten that there's the sprawl. All the cities have sort of merged together into this one like whole Eastern Seaboard city and Western Seaboard city, and above ground, the real life is like you would see it in Blade Runner. It's just this huge mass of nonstop urbanization. And then you have a deck, is what they call it, that I think of as like a Casio keyboard that you kind of jack into, you plug into it, and then you're virtually in the Matrix, which is the whole other digital realm, right? And it is like in Johnny Mnemonic, it is this sort of 3D space that you navigate. And the lead character of Neuromancer is very similar to Johnny. He's a hacker. He's a sort of a smuggler and, just kind of a ne'er-do-well, but he's gifted in terms of cracking code and stuff. Interesting.
Well, early on, those first few minutes that I thought I was going to enjoy the movie, I was thinking, wow, the Wachowskis had to have been really influenced by this, because things do look bad, but like when the Yakuza guys come in, they all have the long trench coats and everything. And I thought, okay, this is just like, everybody in the Matrix. And, he has the thing where he jacks in and all that. And I'm sure they were heavily influenced by Neuromancer for the Matrix as well. But so early on, I thought, wow, this was maybe even though a bad movie, maybe it was pretty influential, but it seems that it was not. Was there anything so I kind of, I'm just saying there's nothing redeemable about the movie, but were there things that you liked about it?
I tell you, I am going to go back. I'm going to reread Neuromancer. I'm going to probably reread the short story from Burning Chrome that it might be called Johnny Mnemonic. I don't remember the actual name.
I think maybe it is. I think maybe that's the title, I think.
But so if it has reignited my interest in the source material, but that's probably as good a positive thing. I think if you like to sit around with someone and imbibe your chemical of choice and sort of chuckle at a kind of a canned ham of a movie, then okay. But I didn't enjoy it. Like I would, if given the choice between this and The Wraith, I'd rewatch The Wraith.
Oh yeah, a million. I mean, the Wraith has, and I watched this on it's free on Crackle, but it's one of those things where there's like every 5 minutes there's a half a dozen commercials.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it was kind of a chore to get through it. I was just kind of like, wow, this is gonna, I don't know if I can get through all these commercials and everything to like I say, for me, it was just kind of there. It wasn't like I hated it. It wasn't like the movie, made me angry or anything like that. But it wasn't fun. There were a couple of areas where I chuckled. One of the really early on in the movie, well, like in the first 5 or 10 minutes, when he's in the hotel room and gets attacked, Keanu throws this one bald guy through a glass, not like a window, but just a glass wall in the bathroom. And he says, next time, knock, Baldy. And his delivery is really terrible. And one line I thought was hilarious was the very end of the movie. So, and maybe after I tell you this, maybe you can explain what he was supposed to be. I didn't really understand Dolph Lundgren's character, but he's strange because he has long hair and blah, blah. And so they attack. He's trying to kill Johnny
preacher. And he's crazy. Right.
Yeah.
But it's like a Jesus thing. They're doing.
Yeah.
And I don't know why he's got a knife that looks like it's like, we get it. We get it. We stop frosting the frosting. It's like, it's a hat on a hat.
Yeah. So, but he's trying to kill Johnny, and the woman who I forget what her name is, she uses the dolphin. The dolphin can like emit something, and and it fries Dolph Lundgren.
Right.
And so at the very end of the movie, it looks like he starts to he's all completely charred.
Yes.
And it looks like he's gonna get up, and Ice-T turns, and the way he delivered his line just made me laugh because he goes, "Just garbage, get that out of here." And they just like lift him up with a crane. But the way he said it, it was, I don't know, it just made me laugh because it's just garbage.
It's not him rising from the dead. It is them airlifting the body out. That's why, but it's clearly a fake out of like, oh, he's not quite dead. And it's a director's commentary that the Ice-T character would be like, we're not going to do this garbage. Right. That's what they were going for. I guess that's what I took from it, but it's so poorly and weirdly executed that it's not even 100% clear.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be some kind of an inside joke because you've loved the movie so much to this point. You're like, you're right, Ice-T.
But I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, they completely charred him. It's not like his eyes popped open or something like that. I don't know. So that was maybe the most entertaining part of the whole movie to me. And it was like 10 seconds before it ended, and it just has this very abrupt ending. Cause they're just kind of standing there. Did they kiss? I don't even remember exactly, but they just sort of look out on the city or whatever. And that's just the ending.
Right. As though they're like, he's a loser with nothing and he's going to pull one more heist. Right. And then the heist is a terrible idea to begin with. And it goes as expected, as anyone could have foreseen. It goes south from the very beginning. And miraculously, he ends up not, after a series of bad choices, he ends up not dead. And it just ends with him like now he's standing with this woman who's kind of a junkie or she's got a plague. We didn't even touch on. There's like this whole disease that there's apparently a cure for. I think we just got to call it.
Let me add in one more thing. There's another thing that we didn't mention that, this could have been handled well, could have been good. But so he carries this data around, and it's like you can only fit so much data. So
Right.
he has lost memories because there's only so much space in the brain or whatever. So he doesn't remember his childhood. So there's a scene where he tells the woman that he's like, oh, because I'm carrying around this stuff, I've lost my childhood memories. And she's like, so you don't remember being a kid, and he's all upset about that. And it's supposed to be kind of dramatic, I think. And but they don't build up any kind of you don't care, basically.
Right.
And so at the very end, when I don't know, the dolphin and all the stuff happens, and then they download it, I guess.
Right.
I guess they download it. Well, then he regains his childhood memories. So, and that was one part of the movie where I was like, oh, okay, they filmed that pretty well, but it didn't seem, you just don't, at that point, you're just like, okay, why do I care? That.
Well, and his
other
childhood
than,
memories are these like idyllic 1950s. It's like a green grass garden and mom in an apron. And you're like, when was this world? Like, how old is Johnny Mnemonic, right? I mean,
yeah,
20-somethings, maybe 30-somethings. You're telling me 30 years ago, this kind of rotten dystopian world didn't exist? It was of a different, I don't know.
And again, you think somebody more skilled, like something like Dark City, where I don't know how long it's been since you've seen that, but where it's been a long time since I watched that. But the guy, has these memories of the woman on the pier and all that. And with a more skilled director, they could have done something like that, where you're continually seeing these flashes of, his childhood and, oh, what's this about and everything. And it could have been kind of cool, but it just came off as, man, I don't care,
We could talk about Dark City one day, actually.
Yeah, that'd be.
That's a good one that and people who are into the genre know of it, but it's been a while. Like, I don't know that people.
And that director, Alex Proyas, is somebody, he directed that, and he did The Crow, and I think a couple of other good things, and then I think he got into a lot of TV and stuff after that, but just kind of fell off the map after that. And so, yeah, that's an interesting, that's one we should definitely talk about sometime.
I think we're at time. I think we should, what do you think? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
I feel like anybody who is going to enjoy this movie has already seen it, and is just watching it as in a nostalgic manner. To me, this is a thumbs down for me. I agree. Like I say, I had this is one that I had always been curious about, and I'd always heard, oh, it's bad, and I thought, a lot of times when you go in with low expectations, then you wind up really enjoying something like this. But like I said, I know I've kind of overused the term dull, I think, but it's just, I just didn't care.
No, I agree. I'm giving it a thumbs down too. And it unlike some of the ones that are sort of deliciously and wonderfully and enjoyably bad, this is just disappointingly bad. Because you almost feel like in different hands or under different circumstances, this could have been a much more enjoyable movie, and it just wasn't.
Absolutely.
I would say go read the source material. It's good sci-fi, and particularly if you're into the genre, things like The Matrix, you'll see that a lot of other properties have really grown out of these original ideas that he published in the 80s.
Yeah, I can definitely imagine that.
Okay, cool. Thank you all for listening, and see you next week.